So let's make that a header 1 tag too. Okay. So let's just call this. Let's call this what it is: a site highlights, or it could be something called trending now or trending today if we want to use something that a lot of sites use. Okay, site highlights. Okay, now again, for search engine purposes, the beginning of each article, the beginning of each div tag should technically be an H1 tag. Now the H1 tag doesn't have to be that particular size. So as an example, if we double click our H1 tag, we can see that we set that to 1.6 M spaces. Okay, so let's make an H1 tag when H1 is inside article. Let's make it 1.4 M spaces. For those of you who don't know this, an M space is equal to the height of the letter M, of a capital M. So my body copy was set to 10 pixels, 1.6 M. For those who slept through fourth math class, 1.6 M space is 16 pixels, so it's a relative space. So we're going to make this H1 tag, in this particular case, be 1.4 M spaces. So it'll be slightly smaller. It'll be slightly smaller than the original, which is this guy here. So it's still an H1 tag for search engine purposes, okay? So this should technically go in the section tag, which is after the news bar tag. Okay, now here's my objective. Here's the super cool part. I want to make these article tags. Now notice I didn't get the article tags IDs, because what I want to accomplish here, I don't have to, because I want to talk to them all the same way. So here's what I want to do here. I want to create a rule for article when article is inside of section. Well, technically article is inside of section. So how do I create a rule for article when articles inside of section? I simply select the tag, make a rule, select the tag, make a rule. In order to affect the tag, I select the tag. Again, see down here, guys, this is the path to those tags. This is the exact path to the tags, whatever you select. So understand something. If I select this, that's different path than selecting this, which is different path than selecting this. So in order to affect something, I need to select something. So I'm going to select an article tag. Dreamweaver will do the work for me. So I don't need to be this specific. I just want to do this. Now, if this helps you, very important step here. If you have different sections on your website, which you could have, by the way, and you want to specifically talk to the section when it's inside of the site highlights div tag, well, you could do that. I have no problem with keeping it this way, but for our purposes now, I just want to keep this simple. Let me review that. We could do this. This will affect any article inside of any section tag that we have on our site. But if we do this, this will just affect an article tag, and an article tag is inside of a section tag when a section tag is inside of this div tag. Now, for what we want to accomplish here, I just don't want to muddy the waters. We're going to keep this simple to article inside of section. Okay. Now, here's the super cool part. Okay. What do we want to do here? What do we want to do here? First of all, we want to have 3 articles going across the page. 3 separate articles with 3 separate stories. Now, this could have contained 5 and 6 and 10 paragraphs. We're just going to keep this the lead story. At the bottom of this is going to go to a different web page. Okay, so let's understand how we could do this, right? First of all, what's the width going to be? Well, let's think about this very, very intuitively. If I want 3 of these, I could technically make them 33 1/3. Well, that gets really kind of wacky and strange with the browser and figuring out the math with 33 1/3. But how wide is our space here? Okay, our space minus the outside purple margins is 960 minus 20. So our entire space is 940 pixels. Okay, so I hit the apply option. Well, guess what? Nothing's going to happen because by default, because article tags are 940 pixels wide, because its parent tag, the section tag, is 940 pixels wide. So we're going to take this number and simply divide by 3. Genius, brilliant, divide by 3. Where do you sign up for that? Okay, now that comes up with this wacky number here. Okay, now how do I get the articles to go next to each other? Well, how do I get anything to go next to each other? If I want something to go to the right, I float to the left. If I want something to go to the left, I float to the right. Now understand how we're doing this, by the way. This is a genius move because I'm not physically naming the article ID, article 1, article 2, article 3. I'm simply saying when there's an article inside of section, article inside of section, then this is what I want to do. Okay, so in this particular case, we want to put 10 pixels of space here. So I want to put in 10 pixels of margin space. Well, that's going to not fit 3 across. So what I need to do with this number here is I need to minus 20, which gives me this. Okay? Now, if you don't want to split hairs here and put this 3, 3, 3, you can get rid of that if you want, because that's not really going to make or break our design. So we could technically, let's just make this really simple here. We could just do that. Now, the other thing we want to do here, let's put this in a different color background. In fact, let's make a version of this color right here. So let's take an orange color, let's sample the orange color, and let's make a darker version of the orange color. So I can click my color wheel. I'm on Macintosh. The Windows system works a little different. I'm going to take my color wheel and just drag it down. Okay, and I want my type to be white because black is not going to look too good there. So far I have this happening. Okay, now how do I get them to go to the right? I float to the left. So if I float this to the left and hit the apply option, I have 3 across the page. There are 3 across the page. Now I don't want them ganging up on each other. So how do I solve this? Well, I want to have 10 pixels to the left and 10 pixels to the right. 10 pixels to the left and 10 pixels to the right. So let's think about this. So if you do 10 pixels to the left, so you could do this, or you can do that, or you can do this, or you can do that. The Christopher Walken video. Again, Christopher Walken. Wow! Okay, so I put in 10 pixels to the left and 10 pixels to the right for the margin space. The margin space is outside of the box. So if I hit the apply option, boo-hoo-hoo, it's not going to fit. Because I can't put a 10-foot table inside of a 9-foot room. Well, I can, but I have an upset customer because I'd have to break part of the table or possibly damage the walls here. So what do we do with this number? We're going to minus 20. But it's not minus 20, is it? Okay, so if I hit the OK button, and I'm just going to double click this to clear this. Okay, so what happened to my grid? Well, what happened to the grid is that the wrapper tag by default in my original starter page here, let's solve that problem. The wrapper tag by default had a certain height to it because that's my starter page was set up. Now, before you're building content, you probably do want to give your wrapper some kind of height, otherwise it's going to collapse on top of itself. Now, since we have mucho grande, again, the extent of my Spanish. See, you guys didn't realize that you learned Spanish too by taking my classes. So you learned 2 Spanish words today, mucho grande. Now, when you sign up for my $109 special deal CS3 super duper website package, I will teach you a minimum of, ready for this? Get a pen, write it down. Hold me to it. I will teach you a minimum of 7 Spanish words. And as a bonus, 1 Portuguese word and 1 Greek word beginning with an M. A Greek word beginning with M. All you guys out there know the word. Some of you girls probably know the word too. So I'm going to teach you that. That's part of the bonus package. So let's, I'm loopy today. Anyway, let's change the height of this to nothing. Not 0, nothing. It has no height. Therefore, the height will self-adjust to its content. Now, the reason it's doing that is because I have a footer. So how totally cool is that? It has the right amount of space on the left, the right amount of space on the right, and it's a perfect system. Okay? So how cool is that? Now for this, for site highlights, notice that site highlights is smashing up the edge here. Well, technically it's not because of the margin space here. But if you want to indent site highlights, important step to understand. If you go and give your site highlights a padding or margin, then you have to minus that or subtract that so the article tags fit. But we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is double click our H1 tag inside of article. Inside of section, which we don't have. So how am I going to do this? In fact, I want this to be orange. So how can I do that? I select the tag and I make a rule. I select the tag and I make a rule. In order to affect the tag, I need to select the tag. Once again, you could make a rule specifically for section when section is inside of site highlights, if in fact you want to have a whole variety of H1 tags. We're not going to do that. We're just going to say H1 inside of section. And simply, when I do this in H1 tag, I can simply do padding space to the left. Padding is outside the box, so we can say 1em space to the left. And it's not going to interfere with anything else. Now, unfortunately, it's affecting the child tag, which is the article tag. So very important step here, okay? So notice when I did that, it affected the article tag because the article tag is the child of the section tag. So how do we solve this problem? There's a bit of a problem here. I don't want to indent the article tag. It's okay that I indented the site highlights tag. In fact, I want to go back to that, make that the same orange color. So how can I possibly do that? We can select this color and hit the apply option. So now it's the same color. But unfortunately, because the child, now I can't see the section tag. So I have to physically double click the section article 1 tag and physically give it a color. Otherwise, it's going to inherit from the parent tag. And if you don't want to do that, you get to be whatever you want to be. But if you don't decide, your parents decide for you. So if I hit the apply option, it's now white again. But I don't want it to indent. So what's the value for nothing? It's a very important step. Anything you see blank defaults to the parent tag. It goes right up the chain all the way to the body tag. So I don't want this to indent from the left. So for a value, I put 0. 0 is a value, just like 1's a value and 2 is a value, etc., etc., etc. So I don't want this to indent. Now, let's take this one step further. Okay, what I do want to indent is I want to indent the paragraphs. So how can I indent a paragraph when a paragraph is inside of an article tag? Well, just like we've done before, select the tag, make a rule. Select the tag, make a rule. In order to affect the tag, we need to select the tag. So we can say P instead of article. Now, section is kind of redundant. We're just going to keep it that way, just so you get the gist of what's happening. P instead of article, article inside of section. So we can simply say that we want this to do a couple of things. First of all, we want to have a left and right margin of, say, let's make this 0.7 em spaces to the right and 0.7 em spaces to the left. You go left, you go right. Now, in addition to this, we want to put a little more breathing room in our articles. So we're going to go to the type category called type. Understand again, we're doing the P when P is inside of article. So we're going to make this a line height. Now for you guys that are desktop publishing background, Work Express, Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign, there's something called leading. Well, in the web world, there's no leading, there's line height. So we're going to make this 1.7 ems. So now if I hit the apply option, it gives me more space between my content. So how cool is that? Now, if you want to truly make this a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, we could go back to our P for paragraph, and we can go to the category of block, and we can indent the first line of the paragraph. So we're going to indent the first line of this paragraph to be, say, let's make this 0.6 M spaces. So that indents the first line of the paragraph. How cool is that? Super cool. Okay? So make a change, save a change. Now, we're not done with this, right? Because we have HTML tags and we have an HTML5 document and we're working in CSS3, technically officially, we could do some really cool things here. We could do things like rounded corners. So what do we want to give a rounded corner? Now, understand something. Again, I did not give these article tags IDs. I simply want to talk to the article tag. The article tag is inside of the section tag. Well, I would have a rule for that. That's right here. So this is something we could do in CS5.5. If you do this in CS5, you have to go to the code in CS5.5 and CS6, which coincidentally, I happen to have a whole entire video series coming out. If you haven't heard about this already, you should definitely go to thinklearnearn.com and sign up for my video series. Free updates for 18 months for a great value of $109 plus 5 Spanish words, 1 Portuguese, or did I say 2 Portuguese words? 2 Portuguese words and 1 Greek word beginning with M. Okay, so how do I do this? How do I give these rounded corners? Well, very simply, I get somebody else to do it because I forgot how to do it. Okay, so what I do here is I come up here, I select the rule that I want to affect. We're not selecting the tag, we're selecting rule. Now pay close attention to this. If you haven't seen me do this, done this before. I'm going to select the tag we're going to affect. I'm going to click add, mouth is falling asleep. I'm going to click add property. Now pay close attention to this. I'm not going to click here in this space. I'm going to click this pull down menu here. So I'm going to click menu. Then I'm going to type it with the menu selected, not the space to the left. With the menu selected, we're going to type in PORTER-radius. Did I screw that up? Yes, I did. Let's do that again. PORTER-radius. Border radius. Now in CS5.5, you get this cool little icon right here. So if I click this cool little icon, this dialog box pops up. We're going to do a corner radius of 12 pixels all the way around. Now we could do to the top 0, to the right 20, to the left 50, etc., etc. We're going to keep this simple. Now, pay close attention here, just in case you haven't been paying attention. Okay? We can't see this until we go to live view or we publish it to a server. So we're not going to publish this to a server. We're just going to simply go to live view by clicking right here, and there's our rounded corners whenever it decides to change. Okay, 1, 2, 3, change. Okay, 1, 2, 3, change. Okay, so let's scroll down to this, and there's round corners. How cool is that? Now there's a bit of a problem here. I don't want the round corners smashing up against our humble little footer. So I put some margin space between the footer and the article tag. So I'm going to have these files to download. You can do that yourself because the video is almost running out of time here. So the last thing we're going to do here with this particular page for site highlights, which happens to be an H1 tag inside of site highlights. So we're going to select the H1 tag inside of section. Inside of section, we're going to select the tag. We're going to go out of live view for a second. And I'm going to show you the simple way to make that a drop shadow without going into Photoshop. HTML5, CSS3 does drop shadows on the box, does rounded corners, does gradients, all these cool things you will learn how to do in detail in my new Dreamweaver CS6 video series at thinklearnearn.com. This whole thing sounded like an infomercial, isn't it? Well, maybe. Okay, so let's select add property. Again, I don't click here, I click over here, and I type in simply TEXT-shadow, text shadow. So for text shadow, I get that really cool little icon here. Again, This is only available to you inside of CS 5.5 and eventually CS6. It's not available to you in CS5. It's 5.5. So I click right here. I'm going to put in, let's do 2 by 2 by 2 in black. I can either click here and pick black, or I can hit #000. Okay, so this is a long video. I think this video has got over 30 minutes, guys. So if I go to live view, I can see both my rounded corners and my drop shadow on my text highlights, which is right here. And somehow that not work here. Whoops, I'm not paying attention to. Did I accidentally do it to the wrong tag? I think I might have. Yes, I did it to article inside of section, which I didn't mean to do. So let's do it to the section as article, add property, click here, text -shadow, the return key, make a change, save a change, go to live view, scroll down to the bottom, and there's my drop shadow. So what is happening here? What is happening here? Oh, because I gave the drop shadow to the article tag. I'm not paying attention. Anyway, video's gone a little long here, so that's how you do it. So definitely subscribe to my service. Follow me at Facebook, facebook.com/think-learn-earn. And I can't emphasize enough to get your hands on my CS6 A through Z e-commerce, everything you want to know about building websites for the grand total of $109. Plus you get free upgrades for 18 months. So talk to you soon. This could possibly be my last free video, guys, especially if I don't get love with my premium videos. So talk to you soon. So definitely subscribe to my service. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter @ThinkLearnEarn. Talk to you soon.